It starts, "Let me not pray to be sheltered from dangers, but to be fearless in facing them. Let me not beg for the stilling of pain, but for the heart to conquer it. Let me not look for allies in life's battlefield, but to my own strength. Let me not crave in anxious fear to be saved, but hope for the patience to win my freedom. Grant me that I may not be a coward in the grasp of your hand in my failure." Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I know that a lot of us, our numbers are getting smaller. It's dwindling, students and teachers and so on. So I want to ask you that we take some time, take a little minute off to observe a minute's silence for those who have departed from us. Could we maybe stand and do this in respect of those who have passed? Thank you. Among the many reasons we are here today, one is to enlighten most of us about Baba, a life we know little of. And I know there were several people here this afternoon, will tell us about that life of Baba. Shri Brajamad I tell you, that's why he hardly use it, I know Krishna will want to tell me the right pronunciation. Shri Brajamad Bhattacharya. Krishna, do I have it right? Madhu? But anyway, that was his first name, and you will understand why most of the time you would only see B. Bhattacharya, or people would only say B. Bhattacharya. Bhattacharya, or Baba, he was a remarkable person, a very simple man who did not really care about the titles or honorifics. When you enter school in Form 1, the instructions you get was to call him Baba. Baba, actually its origin is Persian, meaning father. And I think some of the Asian countries adopted the word Baba for the same understanding, the same reason, and also as an honorific for someone you want to show respect for and honor. Having said that, I recall one day coming down from upstairs. It was one early morning, and there was a Form 1 student outside, and there was someone by the gate that was coming in and was asking to see Bhattacharya. And the person saying, "Yes, I came here to see Bhattacharya." And the Form 1 student said, "No, there is no Bhattacharya here." He said, "Yes, Bhattacharya, your principal." And the student said, "Oh, you mean Baba?" And Well, I kind of took over the conversation there, but that it was, how that Baba remained with us, that word Baba, that word Father, that word we show respect for. So, before, I will not go any further, but I will just try, I'm going about to introduce our chairman for this evening's program, Mr. Kristen Singh. Chris is, I would describe him as maybe as a born journalist, a person who had done his best and excelled in journalism. He has done a lot of research work. He has been here, there, everywhere. I recall some time ago he did an interview with Baba, and I know that Mr. Loknath Dubey had at a time kind of sort of took him under his wing, and they were here, there, and everywhere. And, well, I could tell you a lot about Chris, but I guess as he said to me, no, but I don't need all those things. Just introduce me. So I will just do it.
This is yours. Thank you, Tharan. Namaste, or Hardik Suswagatam, to all the members of this august gathering this evening of kindred souls. A very hearty and warm welcome to all of you to this reunion function as we remember the life and the contributions of Professor B.M. Bhattacharya. Before I go on, I would like to join with you all to extend to our very dear friend, Hans Hanuman Singh, our deepest and sincere condolences on his bereavement, the passing of his son. And he asked me to convey his apologies for not being here today. He says, Krish, you will have to fill my shoes. I say, I don't know about that, but I'll do my best. And he said that would be good enough. So today I'm here to fill his shoes. And so, today you will see and hear of a person. You will see with your mind's eye, and you will hear with your heart. Who from Guyana to Trinidad, who from his writings on the world stage, a person who inspired the minds of those who hanker after truth, B.M. Bhattacharya ji, his name. So what's in a name, you might ask? But the inspiration that lingers on. What were the circumstances existing at the time? One, in Bharat at that time, and secondly, in the life of Dadaji, as we in Shagwanas used to fondly call him, that gave birth to a mission to the West Indies. A mission which uprooted and transplanted a family that was steeped in academia, a prolific author, a Sanskrit scholar, a dramatist, indeed, a veritable storehouse of all that is Sanatan Vedic Dharma. I would like to coin the phrase and say, a civilizational man. I am sure that it wasn't as easy a move. It wasn't as easy as transplanting sugarcane. Hinduism is in a better place for Dadaji. And so here we are today to remember a man who not only built schools and presented lectures, but one who lifted the downtrodden, one who constructed character and molded men and women who went on to be leaders in their respective fields. That is the man today we have and hold this reunion. And so, here we are, as Bhai Tilakchan and Bhai Buran advised me that Krish, you will have to guide the program. But I mentioned to them that yes, we need some time for each person. But I know in a situation like this, emotions will run wild. And to take 4 minutes to tell what your heart has to say isn't going to cut it. But I will invite you to be kind. I invite you to keep it within a reasonable time. I will guide you as we go along. And we all know the conditions in which the country is, the traffic situation, the weather situation. So let us keep it tight and let us enjoy the evening. Okay? So let us hear it for all the organizers this evening. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here today and to join with you in this wonderful occasion. As we begin the program, we would like to begin in a divine way. So we are going to invite a young lady, Mohani Parasram. Mohani, our dear sister, would do the honors of lighting the diya and garlanding the picture of our dear Baba.
In the prayer book, there is at the back the prayer which was one of Baba's favorite. So I'll be chanting that. You can follow, and perhaps you can say also. Om Atma Tvam Girijamati Sahachara Prana Sharira Griham Pujate Vishayopabhogarachana Nidra Samadhistiti Sanchara Padayo Pradakshina Vidhi Stotrani Sarvagiro Yad Yat Karma Karomi Tattvamakhilam Shambhutavaradhana Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Let us give our dear sister a round of applause there. Panditji, thank you very much for that prayer. And There is a item here that says a minute silence for departed souls of fellow students, teachers and friends. For we are indeed riding on the shoulders of those who went on before us. And we are here today only because of them. No matter what we do in our lives, we have to always give thanks to those who went on before. And let us, for just a couple of seconds, bear this in mind as we maintain that silence. Thank you very much, and join me now for a little play that I will take the opportunity at this moment in time to recite. Om Anadi Nidano Devo Sankachakra Garadhara Akshay Pundarikaksha Preta Moksho Predo Bhava.
Does anybody have theirs? No? Oh no. Something you should cherish. Also, you know, the prayer book, I always kept it with me because one of the main thing was Ekti Namushkare Prabhu, Ekti Namushkare Prabhu. That song stuck with me, and I had the opportunity to record it with the music, and I went to UP, Uttar Pradesh, and I played it all over the place. And I let the people know, that was given to us by Baba. Very proud of him, and a lot of things that we do, I think of him, because he had such a great influence in our lives. And the prayer book, I had the opportunity to redo it in a professional way. I brought some copies if anybody wants, when you make a donation towards today's program, and you will truly enjoy it. I see Panditji here. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much for being here. And I'm truly excited and really feel honored to be given this opportunity. Namaste and Sitaram.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rampasad Ramgulam there. That's sorry, my mistake there. Bharat Buchun, one can readily appreciate the emotions that running through his mind at this point in time. He expressed a little bit of it, but every step that he made to come to this reunion was like a yatra. The impact of Baba in his life, one can readily appreciate. And I am sure that is the case in each and every one of you that are here this evening. So that makes it such an important event for all of us. I take the time to recognize Mr. Pago and Pandit Vikram. Thank you so much for being here. I know he has the stomach like Mr. Sat Maharaj, and he has a voice like Mr. Sat Maharaj, so you have a lot of work to do, my dear friend. But thank you so much for being here. So we move on with the program. I'd like to call a past student, Rampasad Ramgulam, as I mentioned, a past student and a teacher, and he will give us some reflections on Tagore Centenary College. Mr. Ramgulam. As he's making his way, 4 minutes will be enough, Mr. Ramgulam? He says he hopes so. Well, let's keep it tight. Thank you.
A pleasant good day to all. My name is Rampasad Ramgulam, as you rightly said. I was a student at Tagore Centenary College. I taught at Gandhi Tagore College, and I also taught at Tagore High School. So I know Mr. Bhattacharya very well. I was glad when my schoolmate Taran Buran asked me to contribute to this reunion. to honor our former principal, Professor B. Bhattacharya, by representing our beloved institution, Tagore Centenary College. What an honor and challenge. Memories, after all, can be tricky business for someone my age. I want to reflect on those life-shaping years and what this school meant to us as adults. Rabindranath Tagore, 1861 to 1941. To honor this poet, writer, and composer 100th birth anniversary, Tagore Centenary College was established in September 1961 by Mr. Bhattacharya and a board of directors headed by businessman Mr. H.V. Gopal. As I now look at the cover of my 58-year-old prayer book, you mightn't believe it. When I was in Form 1, I see our college badge with our school motto, knowledge, peace, prosperity. These watchwords were our guidelines then and now. On the first page, a note to parents states, and I quote, "Ideas of proper manhood and womanhood emphasized at the college may also be insisted at home. Teach children to respect authority, work hard for success, be courteous, decent, punctual, and sacrificing." What important guidelines for all parents then and even now. On the next page is a prayer written by Tagore that was first read by our principal and recited to us in the schoolyard assembly on the first morning of school at 8 a.m. I only have 4 minutes, so I wouldn't be able to read the whole thing, but the first line being, "Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high." And the last line, "Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake." Remember those my schoolmates who were sitting with me there? We really need an awakening in this country at this time. Our college started with 6 prep classes, all right so far. Each student had to pay a fee of $25 per term. After the first term, we wrote our first exam and were placed in Form 1s and 2s. These were some of our pioneer teachers. Mr. B. Bhattacharya, he taught us English language and literature. Ms. Nanki Buchun, maths, Latin, and chemistry. Mr. David Mahadev, general science, physics. Mr. Ramnarayan Bisoon, who is here with us today, I don't know where he is sitting. He taught us health science and religious knowledge. Mr. Amlochan Maraj, geography, history. Mr. James Ajari, Spanish. Ms. Karen Genti, maths. Mr. Loknath Dubey, who was sitting next to me just now. He taught us Hindi, art, and literature. Mr. Khan, our VP Latin. Mr. Leslie Manwood, biology. Mr. Jairam Bisnath, econ. Mr. Krishna Kurao Singh, general science. And Mr. Somnath Mehta, physical education. This dedicated and hard-working staff motivated us to move forward, and from them many of us got our work ethics in becoming police officers, nurses, teachers, civil servants, and many other categories of workers, serving our country with distinction even up to the present time. Many of us are now retired though. Our college developed us into all-round students. So together with academics listed, we were exposed to many co-curricular and extracurricular activities like cricket, table tennis, drama, singing, dancing, yoga, and badminton for the first time. We had a powerful students' college council led by our president, Ramkisun Nagisa, popularly known as NAGS, a fellow classmate, where we had a voice in running our college. We enjoyed working in our school flower garden and playing badminton in the afternoon with some of our schoolmates and principal children, Tapati, Krishna, Kiriti, and Atu. Playing cricket during our lunchtime in the schoolyard was real fun. We had many memorable events, far too numerous to mention. The two most memorable being when Mr. Bhattacharya and our drama and singing class put on the play Shakuntala for public viewing. The next being when we were treated to a free show by the visiting singer Hemant Kumar and group who were performing in Trinidad and staying at our school. We also had many scary events. Right there? All right, he said I have to close, so I cannot give you this part. But I'll go on to the part that in June 1965, after a mere 4 years, our class wrote London GCE exam and had great success, comparable to the nearby schools. I'm trying to summarize this thing somehow. All good things come to an end somehow sooner than later, as the old saying goes. And there was a fallout between our principal and board of directors, stop there, apparently because of different allergies, and Mr. Bhattacharya was removed as principal. This led to a demise of our college in 1965. We'll never forget the farewell function we had for him when there was much anguish and sorrow. He promised to return to us, though. A mere 4 memorable years, 1961 to 1965, where we got an all-round education, making us fit to live with, fit to live and fit to live with. We'll never forget, we will forever be grateful to Mr. Bhattacharya and Tagore Centenary College for molding that part of our lives and making lifelong friends. Thank you once again for the only 4 minutes for this opportunity, and may God bless you and your families. I had to leave out a good bit of things, but I didn't know I only have 4 minutes until today. Thanks anyhow.
You'll give me the program. You'll give me the program. Oops. Thanks. Yeah. I really would have liked to listen to him again, but we need to have this function a little every year so we can get the views and the emotions of each and every one, because there is so much to say. And me, who was around Professor Bhattacharya just for a short period when I was about 14 years old, if I get a chance to say what I would like to say, it will take me a long time, and I know that. So let us kind of keep it in that kind of format for 4 minutes as we go along. So thank you, Mr. Ramprasad Ramgulam, past student and teacher, and reminiscing on his times. And it is important to note that in those days we had to write that London GCE examination. So we are going to invite number 7, as you see in your program, Mr. Paryag Suku is not well at the moment, and he sent his regards to us. He was a past principal of the school. At this point in time, a past teacher we'd like to invite also, Ramnarayan Bisoon. Bisoon would give us some reflections as he takes his time and makes his way.
Namaste, everybody. Good afternoon. I am fortunate to have been one of the very early teachers who would started the school, in Craignish. I actually met Baba even before the school started. That history, in fact, I actually was a teacher, graduated and started teaching at Excelsior High School. In fact, when the results came out, I was asked by the principal to start teaching there the next day. And then from there, I moved to Renown College. But a little bit of history as myself, actually, because I'm from St. Julian Village in Princestown. And so I actually had set up a poultry farm in Princestown, and he would stop at my place and buy eggs. And that's how I got to know him, coming back and forth. And then at the end of August, before the school opened, my eldest brother, the late Manik Bassoon, thought that I should move to that college, and he took me and introduced me to Professor Bhattacharya. And that's where I started teaching. So my wife, was Ramgu put on as Nanki Bochun, became Nanki Bassoon 4.5 years later. Who and what was Dr. Bhattacharya? One of the things he told us as teachers, that our job, although that we were preparing you academically, our job was to turn out an all-round citizen. And standing here today, and I know that a lot of I've seen over the years notices in newspapers where there were these kinds of gatherings, and it used to bother me because I couldn't attend. I actually my wife and I, we moved to Toronto in 1969, where we still live. But Baba had an indelible effect on our lives, because we started teaching there when we were barely 19 years. I'm sorry, when my time's up, just tell me, please. And he, in fact, molded our lives up to today. Okay, his coming to Trinidad from Guyana. It was sort of a godsend, because the children whom we took in the first batch couldn't get into any other school. And in fact, the organizers of that, let's call it company, let's call it a system, and who brought Dr. Bhattacharya Baba then, they weren't doing something to make a profit. At that time in Trinidad's history, there was a lot of activism with some of the businessmen in San Fernando. And they got together and decided that they were going to put this institution together to help those students who couldn't get into other schools. And that was his mission. His mission was to change the lives of these young people who would otherwise have not found that kind of education. There's a lot that I can say to him, that say to you, on how he was in fact, revered in Trinidad. In fact, there was an incident in Debe, the first time he did a public lecture, which was arranged by a fellow named Haram in Debe. And it turned into a very indelicate situation. In fact, the people, because he was Bengali, and you know, all the pundits who would gather around, okay, he said that because he ate fish, and to him, and to Bengal even today, fish is looked upon as a vegetable, and so those extremists in there got very angry. But you see, he's the kind of person that Trinidad was not prepared for. The philosopher, the artist, the musician, okay? And all day he taught, you know, we had the school and he taught the students. But later in the evening, after school closed, that's when he did a lot of his cultural work, okay? And we were fortunate to, he actually adopted my wife as his daughter. And the year before he died, he sent a message to say he wants to see her, wants to see his daughter before he died. And we went to Delhi and spent a week with him. And so we were quite fortunate. In fact, before that, whenever he would come he came to Canada a couple of times, and he visited us at our home. But there's much that we can be thankful for. Those of you sitting here, there is much that we can be thankful for. And I'm standing here looking at some of the former students. Okay, I'm actually quite proud that we in fact delivered what he wanted us to do, and that that was a signature, the success of the students and those who have become very prominent people in this country. I thank you very much. I'm glad that you've invited me. And Krishna, of course, you know where to find me, because I travel back and from Toronto to here quite frequent. I have business in both countries, so that keeps me going back and forth. But once again, thank you very much. I'm glad that I was able to at least stand up and say a few words. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks to Mr. Ramnarayan Bisundar, a past teacher, and sharing his experiences. One can see and feel the as I would say, the nata, the connections, and that will live on as long as we live. And if we can pass that on to others, maybe then Baba would have been very, very relevant. And I think that he is going to be relevant because the lives we live will manifest that relevance, and as we have been doing. So I'd like to take the opportunity to invite on stage members of the head table, Mr. Tilakchan, please, Mr. Loknath Dubey, and Mr. Budan, Mr. Menon Budan. Krish. Thank you very much. I was wondering. Yes. You have a little background music, right? Yeah. With our members of the head table all seated, let us move on with the program. We have to invite now Mr. Kenrick Jagannath. Mr. Kenrick Jagannath, who will present his reflections on Gandhi Ashram College.
Are you guys hearing me loud and clear? Yeah. You know, by the way, let me introduce myself. I'm a proud student of Ashram College. I entered Ashram College in 1972, and 5 years later, I exited this college to foster a new life, a new ambition. But listening to the former speakers, it was quite interesting, and I was enthused as they reflect on Sri B. Bhattacharya from Nicole Barber. But apparently they were speaking about somebody whom I did not know. Their thoughts, their reflections were very strange to me. You see, as a 13-year-old, I entered Form 1. I did not know what to expect. It was a strange environment indeed. I knew no one. I was small in stature. I'm still small in stature today. My first impression of Sri B. Bhattacharya was him walking down a stair. There was all this jabbering and talking in the assembly. But when he walked down the corridor and down the stair, there was a hush, silence. I stood at the front of the assembly line in Form 1, together with people like Haridat Subran, Cyril Allaha, small in stature, ushered, of course, by my former teacher, Ms. Arjun Singh, who is at the back there. And she can attest to everything that I'm saying. He looked at us, these 3 small guys, and smiled. But I felt intimidated, totally intimidated. I had no connection with him until Form 4. In Form 4, then I realized the character of one Sri Bhattacharya, who would have played a major role in my career as a multimedia practitioner. But I hope that the chairman would bear with me a bit. I will go more than 4 minutes though. Although I'm short, I like to speak. I would like to reflect and remember some of the students who were in my class or around that time who would have gone to the great beyond. I remember Menon, Taran brother, who passed away about 6 weeks ago. It was very sad indeed. I remember Keith Ziad Jahur. That's a story I will tell you a bit later. I also remember Reni Sipasad and Rolf Ramjon, who were always at loggerheads with Bhattacharya during his stay at Ashram College. But I'll tell you about Ziad Jahur. He came from a Muslim background. His father was an imam. And he told Bhattacharya in Form 4 that although he came from an Islamic background, his father impressed upon him that, look, I'm sending you to a Hindu school, but I do not want you to become a pundit. And that's another story I want to tell. Because some of these speakers, they may have missed him. Bhattacharya was a revolutionary, not in the true sense of the word. He was a visionary. He imparted knowledge. He could have seen, quote unquote, further from his nose. Bear with me here a bit. His first conversation with me was in Form 5. We were studying a book for GC O-level exam, a hard exam, by the way. The book was Shakespeare's Macbeth. He said, Mr. Juggernaut, yeah, that's the way he called me. You have a beautiful handwriting. I hope you speak well also. In Shakespeare's Macbeth, I underscored some particular lines. He asked me then if I knew or if I could interpret what Shakespeare said. I told him, not in so many words. Do you know, friends, that very same passage, or that very same writing, came in our examination paper? I'll tell you what it said. Shakespeare said, life is but a poor shadow, a walking player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. In our own way, we had to interpret what was being said. Note that I nailed the exam. When I came back to school the other morning, he said, you see, the same thing I told you, you must quote, always quote. As I conclude, I'm just trying to impress upon you the man Bhattacharya was, the person I knew. It was Diwali, and 2 weeks before Diwali, the Indian High Commissioner would have requested that Baba put together a choir. He assembled a group of girls, maybe about 10 or 12 of them, I can't recall now. But he impressed upon Mr. Baksh that he wanted 2 boys to represent the school also. The 2 boys would have been Ratcliffe Ramjohn and myself. He gave us 2 bhajans as it related to Diwali to learn and sing. Mind you, I could not sing these Indian songs or bhajans, so I engaged the services of a young lady in our class called Mona Raghunath, who would have showed great patience with me. One thing I do remember though, that he taught us the Indian national anthem. At that time there was a big movement in India about nationalism and so on. That's a story which I'll tell maybe at another time. So here I was in Harris Promenade in front of thousands of people, diplomatic corps, other people from within the business sector in San Fernando, singing these bhajans and then singing the Indian national anthem, taught to us by Sri B. Bhattacharya. That was the last time I sang the national anthem of India, until 6 weeks ago at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, where the Indian national cricket team was facing the West Indies cricket team. And there it was. We all had to stand to sing the national anthem of India. I stood, I sang my throat out, and I sang loudly, not knowing that the people around me were looking at me with quite interest. Why? Because here I was singing the national anthem and at the same time wearing a West Indian cricket t-shirt. So these are the lessons I would have learned from Baba. He was a man who believed in diversity. Bar Butchun would attest to what I'm saying. We had drama clubs, we had literary and debating clubs, we had a scout troop. He encouraged us to participate in Christmas pageant. He encouraged us to participate in Diwali programs, Christmas program, and Easter programs. He wanted to create a student who would have excelled post-Ashram College. And that he would have done. He was a visionary, a thinker. And most of the Taran and the other speakers refer to this book as a prayer book. It's not really a prayer book in the true sense of the word, you know. When you look at it, it's a collection of thoughts and writings by great minds, including Buddhist, Islamic, Christian, and the list can go on and on. He wanted to create a society and create a student who would have excelled. Many would have thought that Ashram College was a Hindu school. It was not. Ashram College was not a Hindu school. And this, during that tenure from 1972 to 1976 or 1975, he tried to impress upon us. To this day, his teaching, his knowledge, and his wisdom remains with me. My message to you people outside there, what we would have learned in Ashram College under the guidance of Sri B. Bhattacharya, maybe if we impart some of that to our children and our grandchildren, maybe Trinidad and Tobago will be a better society. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kenrick. And as we move on with the program, we would like to invite a young man to the podium here this evening. But I'd like to put his contribution in perspective. At the time when Dadaji came to Trinidad and established these schools, a lot was happening in Trinidad, and it was also happening in India. And we had, as my dear brother Mohib would have mentioned to me, Baba had gone to Guyana, established some schools, came to Trinidad. And at that time, in 1950, 5 Swamis visited Trinidad from Calcutta, from the Bharat Seva Ashram Sangh. They went to Trinidad, they came to Trinidad and then went to Guyana and established schools there. At the same time, when we were Hindus here in Trinidad, were kind of struggling as to our identity and our culture, up came Professor H.S. Adesh, changed the musical scene and gave us authentic Indian classical music, Hindi and dance. Following that, during that time also, we had the Mahasabha being established in Trinidad and Tobago. So it was like a little melting pot that we were trying to find ourselves here in Trinidad. Subsequent to Professor H.S. Adesh, we had the advent of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba, and we would have the satsangs across the country. So it is in that perspective as to where we were as a people that the contribution of Bhattacharya made such an impact in the lives of each one of us. Because we were going to the lectures, we were listening to Baba chant the Sanskrit slokas from Bhagavad Gita, from Vishnu Puran, as he did in Felicity. And that inspired young minds like mine. For today, I still believe that his impact on our lives continues because of the things that we are involved in now. So, to hear more about Dadaji and his impact, let us go to one of his students. And you know him better than I do, but he is Devanarayan Tilakchan. We call him Madhu. He was a sort of unruly kind of guy, you know, until he met Baba in 1962. Even though Baba became his guru, Madhu was still a kind of he's still restless, huh? Baba saw it and decided on a sort of solution with regard to that restlessness. And one day, suddenly, a beautiful young woman was standing in front of Madhu, and Baba said, "She will be your wife." Well, boy, restlessness gone through the window. I am sure the beautiful wife is somewhere around. Madhu, now 81, a retired school teacher, has been a devoted disciple of Baba and was loved dearly by Baba. He had constantly traveled to many countries when Baba traveled, constantly taking care of him. And many of the times when Baba was in Trinidad, he stayed at Madhu's home in Debe. Let us invite Madhu to tell us a little more about his relationship with Baba.
Namaste. Om Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Now, I have a long speech, but I cannot bore you with this long speech, so I'll probably talk off my head. Now, first of all, while I was sitting there, many of you do not know. You only know Baba as principal of a school, those of your students here. But you don't know the other side of Baba life. If you ask me, do you believe in God? I will say no. I don't believe in God, but I know God. I know God. Baba was my God. When you look at his life, look at what he has done. Traveled 3 times around the world. Traveled to Mexico and Peru. I was with him there. Baba went to the dentist Bhutan, and he had extracted all his teeth, and the dentist put on the dentures, and next day we had to go to Mexico and Peru. Dentist said, no, you can't do that. Baba, with a bleeding mouth, asked me to go with him, and we went. And I took care of him. He never complained, never about the pain that he was having. And it was a mission that he had to do, to write books on Mexico and Peru, so that he can educate the Bengali community. Baba was the head of the Bengali Literary Society. And in the last days of his life, when he was honored, they put so much mala around his neck that you couldn't even see his face. Baba, as I say, was my God. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Dev. I haven't seen Sai Baba. I haven't seen Krishna. I haven't seen Ram. I have read about them. Okay? I read Ramayana in this mandir for 9 years. The whole of the Ramayana I've read. I've started Mahabharata. Right? But I haven't seen the God in these books. But I've seen the God in Baba. Baba was a replica of Rabindranath Tagore. All Rabindranath Tagore was, Baba was. Baba wrote over 50 books, 200 songs in Hindi. Okay? 80 songs in Bengali. Sometimes when I was going around Baba would hum a tune. And he said, Maru, remember this tune for me, eh? What me? I don't know about music. I can't remember anything, but I was so smart. I had a tape recorder with me and I used to just record him. In the night he will get up, Madhu, what's the tune again? I will play the tape recorder. Because I'm not a musical, I'm not musical minded. And he would write, get up in the night and write. Baba used to sit up all 2 in the morning and write. A man who has lived 100 years and 101 years, right? To have written so many books, all that you are seeing, those pictures painted, if you are looking carefully, all those paintings you saw on the wall, Baba did it. Where did he get the time to do it? When he came to Trinidad and stayed at my house, he said, don't keep me idle, Madhu, I didn't come here to waste time. I come here to work. I have a mission to fulfill. And I will have to go arrange lectures, you see on the board, Mahabharata lectures, lectures at Isha Upanishad, lectures on Shvetara Upanishad, lectures all over the country. I was his Bahan. I used to take him, despite having to work and so on evening. I remember one evening, I had to take him to lecture. And I came and I had to feed my fowls before I go, working evening shift. And I took up the pan to feed my fowls without loading, and a snake bit me in my hand. Okay? And I only, 6:30, I come home 6 o'clock, 5:30 somewhere around there, next half an hour I have to leave. All I did was drop the pan, kill the snake, put the pan into the snake, run to the doctor without telling my wife and Baba anything. Because when you are bitten by a snake, you have to, the doctor is the only man. So my intuition told me, hey, the doctor. I went there, the doctor said it's a maca whale and so on, okay, endangered species, it is not poisonous, you're all right. Then I came back and told Saroj and Baba, a snake bit me. I have been with Baba. Baba came to my house. Baba is a lover of Papo. And you know, some miracle, something, a Papo would grow, a tree will grow on the left side of the house. And one time another tree grew on the right side of the house. So I had Papo for my Baba. He brought it. It was a miracle. This was a miracle. Baba told me, Madhu, when you on your spiritual path, so many things will happen to you. Miracles, you will want to do. Your miracles will come. You will want to do. You feel you want to do it. But he would say, don't get carried away by miracles. Don't get carried away because it will inflate your ego. You go ahead. Don't worry with all these things. This was my Baba. I remember while in India, Baba made me bathe in all the important various rivers in India. Took a dip in each one of them. When I was dipping in one of the rivers at Hardwar, he said to me, Madhu, take a dip for Mohan. Mohan is in trouble. Mohan is in trouble. Mohan is in trouble. And Chitra and I took a dip. The next thing I heard, Mohan died. Baba was a mystic. He lived with mystics. Okay? So you students, you do not know the other side of Baba at all. I lived with him from 1962 to the day he died. Because when he died, I got Sumita Brooms. She was, on a cell phone, and I listened to all the ceremony and so on that took place. So Baba has done so much. Baba has made, I was a wandering soul, as the chairman said. All this is documented paper, but I don't go there. And then Baba came to my life. At 37, I got married. And it was in 1 week. Imagine a man getting married in 1 week. And it was a full wedding with 40 cars and so on. Pandit Parashuram was there, officiated. That was a miracle, to do a wedding in 1 week. It was a miracle because the day of the wedding, up till now, one Pandit died. And he couldn't believe how Baba selected that day for that wedding. It's not a good day. This Pandit Buddhan said, I can't believe it. But Baba said, I said, Baba, hey, how is it possible? If Pandit Buddhan, he said, no, don't worry. When the cows are coming home, this is the most auspicious time to do a wedding. You don't worry, everything will be all right. I said, but Baba, I didn't get time to tell my wife I love her. I don't know her really. He said, Madhu, don't worry. When she is 60, she will tell you she loves you. I mean, look at this man. He had me real puzzled. And at 60, she did tell me she loved me. So, this is Baba. And, right. So, I can look my whole life. Baba is me. I am Baba. Baba has filled my whole life. He has done lectures at various venues. Mahabharat lecture, Isha Upanishad, Shweta Upanishad lecture. Right? Baba consecrated several Shiva Lingams in private homes. And today, these lingams are worshipped. And here we see Mohini Bahin did the lighting, right, of the diya. And that light that you saw there is 33 years old. It is at my home, it is at Kamla's home, and a few other people's home. 33 years old. I brought it this morning. That light is 33 years old. Akhand Deep. Baba consecrated a murti at Felicity, at the Devi temple. And he did the full Devi puja for 9 days. Every time he came to Trinidad, he used to do the puja. And we assisted him. Okay? So, he did the book at my home. I'm just talking about my experience. The World of Tantra, which is his autobiography, one of the greatest books. I was in New York and I was talking, and a lady rang me up and said, Mr. Bhattacharya, oh, I have read his book. Is he still alive? I said, yes. The World of Tantra. He said, I want to meet this man. This man is a great man. He's a noble man. And I give her the number. And she went to India. Okay? The next week. And Baba called me and said, Madhu, you sent so-and-so to me? I said, I didn't send her. I just give her the information. And the lady was so grateful for that. The World of Tantra, you read it. Some of you don't. You haven't read it. Many of you haven't read any of Baba's book. So you want to know your Baba, you have to read about your Baba. Forget about the principle. Just principle, that's academics. Know Baba, the other side of Baba. So, I remember when we are going to Mexico, okay? We had to board the plane. Everything was arranged to just board the plane. Then they told us, you cannot board the plane, it is filled. Imagine you had a boarding pass and everything. Baba stood up there and he said, young officer, this plane is not going to leave the airport until take both of us. And that plane stood there for 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Finally, they came and they escorted both of us on the plane. Baba told me, don't blow his trumpet. I never used to do it, but I have to do it now. Then, another instance, at Travancore, when we were traveling, we were going up to Madras. Chaitram and I, we had tourist visa and so on, so priority was given to us. But Baba was with us and he accompanied all over. But at Travancore, he was told by the station master, you cannot board this train. Baba said, but I have traveled, these are my disciples, I have traveled with them. And I have to go on that train. He said, sir, this train is not going to leave this airport and this station until it takes 3 of us together. The station master stood there and could not do his work. He was sweating, fidgety. And he came to Chaitrama to tell that man, don't stand there. I can't do my work. I said, you go and tell him. And finally he had to board, allowed 3 of us to go on the train. These are some I wondered. These are miracles. How did it happen? He had a lot of experiences with mystics. And if you are with mystic, you are a mystic. Another instance at Pleasant, Claxton Bay, the coming up the hill there, you could not overtake a vehicle. Right? You can't overtake there at all. And I did overtake a truck. The policeman brought me, parked near the school, okay, license, insurance, whatever, I supplied everything. Baba was sitting in the car. Baba was not saying anything. Then the man said, who is that man sitting there? I said, that's my godfather. He said, I have a great mind to give you a chance. I said, you are the law, you are the officer, the ball is in your court. He said, all right, go ahead. So I have had so many experiences with Baba. So these are some of the things that I want to tell you, right? And I hope that, generally one of the things all right. This poem sums him up perfectly. I wish neither for wealth, nor neither for liberation, nor for rebirth. I wish for the removal of the suffering of many anguished souls. I love many lands, many lives, and they love him back. He frequently quoted this English poet's verse, and this sums up Baba. I strove with none, for none was worth my strife. I love nature I love, and next to nature art. I warm both my hands before the fire of life. It sinks and I am ready to depart. His Mahasamadhi was at the age of 101 on the 16th of December 2009. His mind was fully intact, memory sharp despite his blindness during the last years. And Baba was noted to have a photographic memory. Right? Photographic. At age of 5, he knew the Gita thoroughly. Up till now, I don't know a single line of the Gita. All I have read Gita all the time. So, friends, this is just an insight of some of the things that you did not know about Baba. Therefore, I say, I don't believe in God. I believe that, or in other words, I lived with God. And Baba was my God. Thank you.
Guru Brahma, let me start that again. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So, my dear brothers and sisters, one can readily appreciate the impact that one's Guru has on one's life. And through the Guru's blessings, anything is possible. That we know, and we have seen that in our dear brother Madhu and his contribution here this morning. And I'm sure it would bring a sort of refreshing breeze on the memories you have of your own association with Dadaji. At this point in time, we've heard a lot of talk, so let us have a little interlude, and we are going to invite our dear brother Pagu to do his piece. At this point in time, he will be at the microphone there. He tells me he will not sing today. He will play the harmonium. So let's go. Cinema. But what a wonderful presentation by Mr. Pergo there. Thank you so much. It is indeed a pleasure to hear that song once again. As we continue, I'd like to recognize my friends from the central area, Shagwanas, Gairat Singh, I know him as Sundar, Mr. Ramdas is here, and also my dear sister Kamla is here from Launch Park in Shagwanas. Thank you all so much for being here. At this point in time, Viraj Ban, Mr. Viraj Ban is carded here to do Baba's Diwali song. A former student,
Namaste everyone. Quickly I'll just say that when I was a past student of Gandhi Tagore, and I just joined late in sometime in 1967, and that's the first time I met Baba. I was very impressed with him. So I joined his singing class or music class, and he taught us part of this bhajan that I'm about to sing. So I'll just share this part with you that I know. मिलकर सब जन गायो रे आज दिवाली पूजन है भेद मिटाओ हृदय लुटाओ मन मंदिर में गूंजन है मिलकर सब जन गायो रे आज दिवाली पूजन है भेद मिटाओ हृदय लुटाओ मन मंदिर में गूंजन है आज मन मंदिर में गूंजन है दिया दिया की माला बिछे आज माला बिछाई दिया दिया की माला बिछे आज माला बिछाई मन में पवन में एक उमंग मचा आओ मिलो आओ मिलो सब बहनों भाई आओ मिलो सब बहनों भाई दिवाली मन पूजन है भेद मिटाओ हृदय लुटाओ मन मंदिर में गूंजन है मिलकर सब जन गायो रे आज दिवाली पूजन है भेद मिटाओ हृदय लुटाओ मन मंदिर में गूंजन है मिलकर सब जन गायो रे आज दिवाली पूजन है भेद मिटाओ हृदय लुटाओ मन मंदिर में गूंजन है आज मन मंदिर में गूंजन है आज मन मंदिर में गूंजन है थैंक यू
that is a song I would like, I don't know if it is recorded anywhere. So I think we can ask you to record that song, Mr. Ban. and we would like to get copies of it. We'd appreciate it very much indeed. So we've had two beautiful items on the mouth organ and this wonderful song. So now let me invite to the podium a brother of mine, Loknath Dubey. Each and every one of you know Loknath Dubey, and I'm not going to read any bio from him because I am sure as he presents the feature address, you will learn more and more about this young man who is just 81 years old, but stronger than I am. Put your hands together and let us welcome our dear brother, Loknath Dubey, with the feature address.
Chairman Krishnalal Singh, thank you for your kind introduction. Former principal of the Tagore High School, Brother Paryag Suku, all past teachers and students of Tagore Centenary College, Tagore High School, Gandhi Tagore College, and Ashram College, friends, well-wishers, and members of the general public, children, the media, ladies and gentlemen, namaste. Say something. We offer humble adorations to the Divine for making this occasion possible, when we can once again gather as one family to remember our various Tagore colleges, teachers and fellow students, and most of all to honor the founding father, Guru and Principal Professor Pandit Braja Madhava Bhattacharya, known to most as Baba, as we will be referring to him henceforth. How did Baba make his entry in the West Indies? How did he reach the shores of British Guyana, now Guyana, and then Trinidad and Tobago? What were his objectives and goals? Who were some of the main contributors enabling his mission to this geographical area? What were some of the obstacles that he overcame? And to what extent did Baba succeed in his primary objectives and goals? Mr. Chairman and members of this august audience, you will agree with us that this requires not one, but a few very large books by the best writers. But we will try to squeeze into this offering what we may call the cream at the top, if that is all right with you. A great tantric yogi swimming in the sacred Ganga or Ganges river in India saw Baba bathing close to him and said to him, "You will be traveling to the far west soon, and you will teach many peoples and children there for many years and return to Bharata, India, after some time." If Brother Tilak Chand tells you this part of Baba's life story, you will be shocked, but please don't ask him now. He will take too much time, which I don't mind. Shortly thereafter, Baba met a great sannyasi, Swami Purnanandaji of the Bharat Sevashram Sangh, and he said to Baba, "You must go to the West Indies and teach the peoples there." Following the footsteps of Swami Purnanandaji, Baba traveled to what was then British Guyana. At that time, a few energetic persons in that area had started a Tagore school in the countryside area. The school went through many ups and downs until Baba arrived there. You can Google and find all the details about how the Tagore College at Guyana started. They really struggled. He was asked to help the weakened institution. Baba did the walking from home to home, talking to villagers and gathering bags upon bags of paddy and selling those to buyers in order to raise funds for the school. He was also giving lectures at various venues to Hindu, Muslims and Christians, and the people began to listen to him in Guyana. Soon the then Premier of British Guyana, Dr. Chedi Jagan, visited the school and named it as the Tagore Memorial College, a fully state-funded school. It is still there. Baba staged one of Tagore's drama Kingdom of Cards in a public venue there, and the event was a success. This college is still functioning as one of the leading colleges in Guyana today. At that time, Baba was reading a Hindu Sanskrit text called Bhagavad Puran, Bhagavad Mahapuran Yajna, and some persons from Trinidad were invited. A few of the main Hindu organizations in Trinidad, the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha, SDMS, attended the Yajna and listened to Baba. They were impressed and requested Baba to come to Trinidad in 1961 and start a college here. Some of the persons involved were Mr. Bhade Sagan Maharaj, Jang Bahadur Singh, Dr. James Makhan Dubey, Mr. H.V. Gopal, one of the founders and leaders of this venue, this ashram and mandir. H.V. Gopal served here for over 30 years as a Hindu leader. At that time in May 1961, the then Indian High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago invited the then Premier of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Eric Williams, to deliver the feature address at Queen's Hall on the occasion of the centenary anniversary celebration of 100 years of the Nobel laureate Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Dr. Williams delivered the lecture on May 18, 1961. You can check the library for a copy, to an overflowing audience. Part of his lecture was based upon the hundreds of requests that he had received from the public on the teaching of Hindi in schools, and this is what Dr. Williams said in part at that time. Many have been asking for the teaching of Hindi in schools. I am of the view that of greater significance would be the teaching of Indian history, Indian philosophy and literature of the great literary giants of India like Radhakrishnan and Rabindranath Tagore. And then comes the most astonishing sentence that caused all the schools in Trinidad. Tagore is in fact one of the best examples we can ever hope to find of the role of the intellectual in a nationalist movement. Dr. Williams continued, what we need in this regard is a catalytic agent. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bisun, am I going right? Mr. Chairman and respected audience, Professor B.M. Bhattacharya or Baba was that catalytic agent who entered the West Indian archipelago and laid the foundations for Tagore colleges in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Chairman, we may note that this speech on Tagore by Dr. Williams may be sourced at the University of the West Indies Library at Nales, the National Library in Port of Spain, as well online, and also from Professor Selwyn Kojo, who has researched this very much. The Tagore Centenary College was opened in 1961, as fellow teacher and brother Ramnarayan Bisun said, in Cregnish Village, Princestown. Some of the teachers were Nanki Buchun, that's Mr. Bisun's wife, Karan Jayenti, David Mahadev, Bella Maharaj, Ramlochan Maharaj, James Hajari, Ramnarayan Bisun, Ramesh Maharaj, Samsundar Samaru, Siudat Dev, and myself, Loknath Dubey. At the first anniversary celebration in 1962, former Government Minister Dr. Winston Mahabir gave the feature address in which he said, I feel a sense of freedom speaking here today, the kind of freedom of which Tagore speaks. Into that haven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. I just want to mention one word. Into that haven of freedom, my father. All over the world, professors and lecturers say, into that heaven of freedom, my father. Tagore never used the word heaven. The word is haven. Into that haven of freedom, my father. So please correct it in the book that we have today and afterwards. It was also the first occasion when Tagore's compositions in Bengali, Ekti Namaskare Prabhu, Ekti Namaskare, was sung in one salutation to thee. And Baba's own compositions were sung by the school choir in public. Parents and the public were stunned and charmed into overwhelming applause. Baba had arrived. He announced his arrival at the first anniversary of the Tagore Centenary College. After 3 years, the owners of the property on which the school was established decided to develop the lands commercially and so the school was closed. Baba was dismissed, and teachers and children, along with parents, had to find ways to continue. A very strong parent-teachers association sought the help of some financial guarantors, and a loan was secured to open a new college, the Tagore High School near Railway Road, Princestown. Some of the leaders were Mr. George Mahesh Singh, Dr. James Markan Dubey, Teacher Babul Gosai, Dayaram Tulsi, Sevak Budan, the father of Teron, Devanarayan Gajada Maharaj, and others. The school started with James Hajari as acting principal, followed by Ms. Jayasri Sen, and then our brother Pariyag Suku for a few years. While this Tagore school was being developed, a few enthusiasts like Dr. Shyam Avatar, Mr. Sri Bisram Gopi and others were trying to establish the Gandhi Tagore College at Cross Crossing in San Fernando. This was soon materialized, but there were some internal problems, and Baba's departure became real. A new college had to be established. Students like Krishna Pagu, Krishna Jadunanan, and many others took the matter to the public, and very soon another group of strong women from the Sri Sevak Sabha, this led by Mrs. Rampasad, Mrs. Moon Pasad, Mr. Lal Bahadur Singh, Mrs. Rama Maharaj and others, Betty Raghunanan Singh and many others, decided to allow a college to be established on the grounds of the Krishna Mandir, not Gandhi Seva Sangh. On the grounds of the Krishna Mandir that belonged to the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha. But the Sri Sevak Sabha were the ones who took the initiative. May I read that again? The main driving forces behind this project were Mr. Moon Pasad, Lal Bahadur Singh, called Lal Bul, Ramnarayan Maharaj, Bisram Gopi, Ms. Dr. Amugam, Norman Girwa, and the women of the Sri Sevak Sabha, who are still here as the custodian of these premises. It should be noted that there were always a few persons standing strongly in support of Baba's efforts. A few of these were Sugrim Ganga Bisun, J.P. Ramsundar, Samlal Jadunanan, and many others. Mr. Chairman, teachers, students, and guests, may we ask you to give the hard-working women of this nation, the Sri Sevak Sabha, a round of applause for building this. These are the ladies, our mothers, who should be given national awards. All women are high in human values and what is called in the Veda Stri Shakti, or women power. It is because of woman power that we have this school here, the Ashram College. It should be noted that persons who gave Baba tremendous moral, financial, and otherwise support were Errol Mahabir, Gerard Montano, Amjad Farzan Ali, Afraz Baksh, and Bade Sagan Maharaj. This was the birth of the Ashram College and not the Gandhi Ashram College. There was never a college named Gandhi Ashram College. It was Ashram College. In fact, a few members of the Gandhi Seva Sangh went to the president of the SDMS, Mr. Bades Maharaj, and complained that Baba and Mr. Moon Pasad were building a college over the Krishna Mandir. We were present at that meeting when Mr. Bades came and visited this construction site in progress, and he said to Baba for all to hear, and he had a very loud voice, Panditji, I give you permission publicly to continue this construction. It is not over the mandir. Go ahead and open your college, and I will attend if you invite me. These words of Bhades drew much laughter, as he was known for his public jokes. And thus was born Ashram College. Here at Ashram College, we had a few hundred students and very good teachers. Pandit Parasaram Maharaj, who is here, Satar Abdul, Nandu Puran, Krishna Dubey, Srimati Gulja, Ismet Baksh, and others. I was at most times the vice principal, and at a later time, Professor Harishankar Adesh was himself a principal here. Apart from formal education, Baba spent all his spare time in educating and uplifting the community educationally, spiritually, culturally, and in every other social sense. To the Hindus from the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha, Arya Pratinidhi Sabha, Self-Realization Society with Brother Hansa Ramsamuj, to the Vedanta Society of High Street, Princess Town with our brother Sona Sipasad, to the Sant Kabir Nidhi, the Kabir Panth Association, and other Hindu groups. He taught Sanskrit, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Valmiki Ramayana, Vishnu Puran, Mahabharata, Upanishads, and other scriptures. These discourses were offered by Baba at this venue of the Stri Sevak Sabha under their auspices, as well as at the lecture halls in Shagonas at the Mandir of Dharamraj Nanan and Debe, at the residence of Samlal Jadunanan and family in Shagonas, the Shiv Jyoti Sangham in Pinal, and many other places, too numerous to mention. To the Muslims, he gave many lectures at interfaith symposiums organized by the Ahmadi Trinidad Muslim League and other Islamic bodies, especially with Maulana S.M. Tufail, a leading Islamic missionary. To the Christian community, he gave lectures to Roman Catholics at the Mount St. Benedict Seminary for aspiring priests and nuns. He used to go there every week to lecture to those who were going to become nuns and priests in the Catholic Church. To the Presbyterian community, he lectured to students at the St. Andrew's Theological College for those who were going to become reverends. Many of us used to go to those lectures there, where the late Reverend Dayfoot became his very, very close friend. Baba translated the Ramayana of the followers of Guru Shiv Narayan in the Shiv Dharam Sabha, the book called Guru Anyas, free of charge, and he also lectured to their followers. In fact, all of Baba's lectures to all faiths were offered free of charge. In all of these, Baba was also producing, directing, and staging dramas in order to raise funds for each of the colleges during their operations. Some of these dramas were Natir Puja, Sacrifice, and Kingdom of Cards by Rabindranath Tagore, Shakuntala by Kalidas, and Shakyamuni or the Buddha, written by Baba himself. For these dramas, Baba personally painted all the backgrounds and screens for the stage, composed most of the songs, and directed the performers from among students, followers, and friends. Many students and teachers all learned much about art by assisting Baba in mixing and applying colors to the canvases. The presentations were offered at Queen's Hall and at the Naparima Bowl to full houses, and all funds raised went to colleges that he served. He never put 1 cent in his pocket. There must be some water here, or coffee. Theron Buddhan played a major role as a disciple of Bhagwan Buddha in the place Shakyamuni. He was blessed by a few too many admirers thereafter, but he has survived. In order to garner social and cultural cohesion for his projects, Baba was able to draw up many close, trusted, and reliable friendships, just to name and describe a few of his close friends. In education, there was the former president of the Senate, J. Hamilton Morris, one of the leading educationists in the Caribbean, if not the Western world. School supervisor Harold Telemark, sculptor Dr. Ralph and Mrs. Bainey, Dr. Elton Richardson, and many other prominent educationists. In music, he had the friendship and support of the S.M. Aziz Orchestra, the Acme Dili Nadan Orchestra, the Naya Zamana Orchestra, and many others, to perform in his dramas. Some students of the various Tagore colleges and then upcoming artists were recruited and partially trained by him and sent on to more qualified teachers for higher things in their fields. Some of these were Chandradat Singh, Mangal Patesa, Nandlal Jadunanan, Bansraj Ramkisoon and his sister Oma, Chandradev Sugrim, and Sukhdev Jagdev. There are many, many others. He was able to teach classical singer Hanif Mohammed the famous song Jai Jai Kali Ma in the place Sacrifice. Local singers Vidur, Thulam Henry Dindyal, Ramdhani Sharma, James E. Karim, James Ramsevak, and many others were his very, very close friends and visited him often, especially in Krignish. In the area of culture, he was very close to brother Hans Hanuman Singh, who unfortunately lost his son Peter recently, Amjad Farzan Ali, Kamaluddin Mohammed, who said Baba was the greatest reciter of Parsi or Persian that he had met in his life. Kamaluddin Muhammad and his two brothers, Moeen and Nisham, Baba had musical friends all over Trinidad. Baba kept away from politics, but he was close to some in the field, such as Gerard Montano, Errol Mahabir, Afraz Baksh, Badis Maraj, Stephen Maraj, Mrs. Kalauti Permanan, and Dr. Eric Williams himself. On one occasion, Dr. Williams went for dinner at Baba's home in Lady Hills Avenue, and upon his arrival, he went straight into Mrs. Bhattacharya's kitchen, and giving her a big hug, he inquired, "Ma, what nice dishes are you cooking for me?" Later on during dinner, Dr. Williams saw a portrait of Rabindranath Tagore that Baba had done in ink and asked Baba to photocopy it for his collection. Baba promptly took down the portrait and gave it to Dr. Williams, who was overjoyed. Baba painted another exact portrait the very next day. We have said some things about Baba, but we have not touched Mrs. Bhattacharya, or Ma, as we called her. She was mother of 4 beautiful children, Taupati, Krishna, Kiriti or Gora, and Atreya or Atu. The children were all here in Trinidad, but the family lost Krishna and Atu over time, and now Taupati and Gora are still with us. Ma was always Baba's strength and support, and a mother to all of Baba's students and teachers in the schools. I only ask for it, I don't want to drink it. It must be pointed out that Ma treated many of the young ladies who became close to her as her own daughters. She also patiently and lovingly guided some in her own unique styles of food preparation, recipes for sweets, and general home economics. There were those like Saroj Tilakchand, Kamla Mongru, Indra Dubey, Madhvi Tilakchand, Blue Eyes, Kalauti Jadunanan, and a few others whom she guided, and Mohini Singh, and trained into cooking Bengali dishes and Indian sweets like Rasgulla, Gulab Jamun, Barfi, and others. There are many such ladies whom Ma kept close and trained well, and it is still being debated as to who was Ma's favorite disciple. The vote on that remains undecided even at this time, but Kamala Mangru will always get the vote as the best coffee maker in the world. Give her a round of applause. Most of the people were aware only of Baba's role as educationist, lecturer, painter, artist, dramatist, social worker, and all-round servant of the people. But few were aware that Baba was a highly trained Pandit, or more properly called Purohit or Karmakand, the practitioner, who was authorized to do and perform puja vidhi at every level of Sanatana Dharma. He was able over the years to establish several areas and homes, what is called Prana Pratishta Murti Sthapana, various symbols which Tilakchand referred to as Shivalingams at some of the homes and mandirs in Trinidad. Some of the homes are the families of Ramsundar Parsuram, Himraj Maharaj, Yatindranath Rampasad, Jivan and Kamla Mongru, Bhai Sicharan, and the family of Indra and Indra Parsuram, and a few others. Baba formally trained and initiated a few of his students, ritualistically vesting them with the sacred thread Yagyo Pavitra Janev, and authorized them to perform rituals of puja for anyone. Some of these are Devanarayan Tilakchand, Ramsaran Bisesa, whom we call King, who has gone to the beyond, Ram Ganesh Patel, who is here with us today, and a few others. Mr. Chairman, teachers, students, and all present, thank you for listening thus far. We have talked about Baba's entry and cultivation of Gurudev Tagore's teachings in a West Indian seedbed, and how by using all his God-given talents, he was able to strengthen his students, as well as the major institutions in our society at every level and strata: educational, economic, political, spiritual, social, cultural, and at times even sporting. He was a great badminton player, excellent swimmer, and had a robust sense of humor. He could crack jokes. In my last 2 minutes, I was given 20 minutes, I've taken 18. I have tried to keep the time, like Baba taught us. In my last 2 minutes, if you allow, Mr. Chairman and listeners, may I tell you one of his jokes. It is in Sanskrit, but you will be able to understand it fully. At each of our Sanskrit classes, Baba would recite and write on the blackboard a Sanskrit couplet or shloka from the great poet Chanakya in the collection of Hitopadesh. At the next class, he will ask each one in the class to stand up and recite the shloka that he gave us the day before. And just for that, a few of us went deliberately late in the class in order to escape being called upon to recite. But Baba was always waiting and watching for us. The result was that we all had to memorize every slok that he gave us, and now we will listen to just one of them, which contains a part of his favorite jokes. Yasya nasti swayam pragya shastrang tasya karoti kim lochanabhyam vihinasya darpana kim karishyati. Him karishyati vaktara srota yatra na vidyate nagana kshapana ke deshe rajaka kim karishyati. Meaning, what is this sense of speaking eloquently to a very large audience who are paying rapt attention, but they have no ears, they can't hear? Swayam pragya, shastram. What is the sense in having a most expensive pair of spectacles, gold rimmed, diamond studded, many $1,000s worth of spectacles, but the wearer looking scholastically but have no eyes? Looking smart but no eyes. What is the sense that you are a mighty, wealthy king in a large country with all the resources, everything, only Jhanjat, have no people in that country? What is the sense you build the most sophisticated model of effective laundry, that in a whole town or village you can press one button and everybody's clothing come out in 10 seconds, washed, ironed, starched, and with your name label on it? What is the sense you have such a good laundry in a country where there are millions of people, but in that country nudity is the fashion, nobody wears clothes? Why build a laundry for the naked? Why wear spectacles for the blind? Why speak to those who can't hear? And that's how he told his jokes to us. Baba was able to develop Tagore Memorial College in Guyana successfully, but in Trinidad and Tobago, all the Tagore colleges did not survive physically. But somehow, by the divine will, Baba's students, teachers, and followers are still here. We may yet be able to start a new college again. Baba gave of his best without hurting anyone, knowingly, and his own favorite words remain with us as Tilak Chand tried to read for us. I strove with none, for none was worth my strife. I love nature best, and next to nature art. I warmed both hands on the fires of life. It sings, I am ready to depart. Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, thank you as I too depart.
Let's hear that again. We are coming very close to the end of our program this evening, and I'd like my brother Krishna Pagu to prepare himself. He'll be up next. You know, my friends, if I was asked what is the greatest treasure which India possesses and what is her finest heritage, who is saying this? The first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru. He says, if I was asked what is the greatest treasure which India possesses and what is her finest heritage, I would unhesitatingly answer that is the Sanskrit. This is the magnificent inheritance, and so long as this endures and influences the life of our people, so long will the basic genius of India continue. If our race forgot the Buddha, the Upanishads, and the great epics Ramayana and Mahabharata, India would cease to be India. And it was Mahatma Gandhi who said, without the study of Sanskrit, one cannot become a true Indian and a true learned man in the world. So we can see from the Prime Minister of India, through Mahatma Gandhi, and through Dadaji, how important it is that we maintain that finest heritage of India. We may not know Hindi, we may not know Sanskrit, but it burns in our hearts to see that we have it in our hands and we are yet to embrace it in our hearts. The time has come, my friends. If our brother and his brothers, Madhu, and his brothers who were taught Puja Vidhi could get together and teach this so that that doesn't die with them, maybe Dadaji's life would mean something. It is about time that we stand up as Hindus and take our place in the sun. So let us be inspired. Let the inspire lingers on in our hearts and our minds, and one day it will blossom into that desire to see that we stand up and count ourselves as Hindus. So with that note, I'd like to invite, as our last item, of course we'll have a vote of thanks, so let us invite Krishna with a song and reflections.
त्वं गिरिजामति सहचरा प्राणाशरीरगृहम् पूजाते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रा समाधि स्थिते संचारं प्रदयो प्रदक्षिणवनि मंत्राणि सर्वगिरः यद यद कर्म करोमि तद तद अखिलं शंभो तवादरम् I'm a staff at a high school in Toronto, and every year we do Asian Heritage. And normally I would write something or compose something. And the school and the area in which I live, I work, we have a multicultural place. 147 different languages are spoken there. And so we have a lot of West Indians and we have rap music there. So I compose sometime in that format for the kids there, because you have to relate to the students that you are amongst and teaching. So it's in my instinct now to do the same thing, so I wrote something about Baba. Baba, Baba, you are great. To sing your praise we cannot wait. From east to west, north to south, there were action, not mouth. When changes were needed and no one heeded, and powers that be obstructed the light, you broke the barriers and made it bright. Barriers after barriers popped up everywhere. You broke them without fear. Day after day, in and out, if not pen, then my mouth. From dawn to midnight, bones aching, you were upright. You swept the dust and made clean and clear our windscreen. We were we were supportive all along and were mesmerized by your song. Aayi Diwali mure angana, o mure angana. Aayi Diwali mure angana, o mure angana. Ghar ghar mein dar dar mein jiye ujalna, o mure angana. Now, this is Baba type of tune, right? And he taught us that. Now, when guidance were needed and not heeded, you put on stage many jaw-dropping plays. Even the Prime Minister were carried away and thought from countries overseas, not from the West Indies. The scenes painted by students on these floors, and dances and action never seen before, all together on one stage, the old and young together engaged. You suspended time and place, bringing the motherland here with grace. Asia, 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 you are the light. Your touch made everything bright. Whenever they needed light, your stars shone bright. Kalidasa from 2 millennium ago, who most of us didn't know. For Shakespeare dominated the stage. With Shakuntala, you brought him to age. Yuga yuga paar kiye o badal, savan ban kar aayo re. Yuga yuga paar kiye o badal. These songs, when you hear Baba singing and the choir singing it in these plays, it's so different. You know, you feel. Today I feel, I can't describe the feeling, but to walk on these floors that we worked for years here and helped to build, it's a different feeling altogether. So too, the great laureate, if not one of India's greatest poet, whose play Sacrifice pointed atrocities that are in our religious beliefs. And Tagore's Kingdom of Cards, a satire that really struck hard at a dreamy and robotic society who lost their way and dignity. We are the low of the lowly, we are slow to be fast and fast to be slowly low of the lowly. We toil this toil, we boil, for the mighty and the holy, for the mighty and the holy. Now Baba saw what was happening all over, and he wrote according to the time. Now, spirituality in decline and need for the sublime, you brought forth Shakya Muni, whose words were like honey, the one and only light of Asia, the Prince of Prince, Gautama Buddha. Lo, 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 lo jaga, tu hi mere veena, chitta chandan chanda madhura, bhag se ho leena. Chitta chandan chanda madhura bhag se ho leena. Satyam Shiva Sundaram, Satyam Satyam Shiva Sundaram, Satyam Shiva Sundaram, Satyam Shiva Sundaram. And then the final quest, Savitri, showing the way to Samadhi, liberation of the individual soul, the eternal quest and goal. And in Sakya Muni, when we were composing, when we were staging it, Baba got the message that his daughter died. And we had practice, and also he had to lecture. And he composed this song. Kisi ne bulaya mujhe dur jana, sambhalo piyab rona rulana, kisi ne bulaya mujhe dur jana, sambhalo piyab rona rulana, आचल बटोरो मुझे तुम न छेड़ो, आचल बटोरो मुझे तुम न छेड़ो, मुझे अब न घेरो, मैं हूँ बेगाना, मुझे दूर जाना किसी ने बुलाया. I don't want to repeat what others have said, so I'm going to. In 1965, I started Gandhi Tagore College. I was away from school for about 4 years. And during that time, I yearned to be in school. I watched my peers. They went to school, and I had to be home in the shop. But my uncle, he was a teacher, and he had good books, so I used to read and so on. And fortunately, Gandhi Tagore opened. And I came there. We had Dr. Reverend Baldwin George, the principal or vice principal then. And I started there. Then Baba came. And when Baba came there, it was completely different. My life changed completely then. And I like to say certain things about it, but Baba's contribution to art and culture here actually started when every Friday evening we used to have what you call some speaker coming to speak to the children in the school. And one evening we had Mrs. Kelkar, the cultural attaché from the Indian government, and she was speaking. And she asked what it is that will work and help Trinidadians here. And Baba said that a cultural attaché of the Indian government here can't actually do anything to help Trinidad and Tobago. So he said the only thing you can, and the only way you will be able to reach the people of Trinidad and Tobago is through music. And he said he told her to go and tell the Indian government that if you really want to do something for Trinidad, send someone versed in music. And at that point, a little later, Mr. Adesh came. He came I was one of his first students at Gandhi Tagore College because he used to come before the day end, before the last period, and he did some music there. Now, when the Indian government always sends somebody for 3 years and they pull them back home. So when Mr. Adesh's term ended, Baba wrote to Indira Gandhi, said, when you plant a tree, every 3 years you uproot it to see how far it grew. And with that statement, Mr. Adesh remained in Trinidad for 3 other terms, until 1976, when his term ended and he had to go back to India. Baba was leaving Ashram College and he offered him, and there was a request that he be the principal of the school. And Baba, we were going to lectures in the evening, and Baba said, look, this is what happened. Someone came to ask me about the principal of the school. So I said, we used to always be talking, and I said, Baba, you are going, and you'll be doing 2 things. You would be saving a person here, and also too, he would be able to carry on what you were doing here. And this is what happened then. So Baba, people do not know about these little things that Baba did to make sure that the cultural side of life in Trinidad remained. He always kept in touch and made it possible that we in Trinidad benefit from the Indian government, because the Indian government sent people here to do work on their behalf. And Baba used to be writing all the time, keeping that touch with the government there. Now it's getting late. I'm going to sing one song that we practice, and my mood is a somber mood now, but I'm going to try to do it. This one was from the play Sacrifice. अरे जा 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 मुझे डर है कन्हैया से, देखना मैं बोल पड़ूंगी यशोमती माई से। अरे जा 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 मुझे डर है कन्हैया से, देखना मैं बोल पड़ूंगी यशोमती माई से। क्या करेंगी यशोमती, क्या करेंगी कोई, क्या मेरा डर होगा कोई दाई माई भाई। अरे जा 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 मुझे डर है कन्हैया से, देखना मैं बोल पड़ूंगी यशोमती माई से। अरे जा 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 मुझे डर है कन्हैया से, देखना मैं बोल पड़ूंगी यशोमती माई से। देखो देखो बिचल गए टूटेगी गगरिया, देखो देखो बिचल गए टूटेगी गगरिया, काहे बोले रूठे हो तो कौन है कसूरिया। देखो देखो बिचल गए टूटेगी गगरिया, काहे बोले रूठे हो तो कौन है कसूरिया। बाहर निकल आए हो बड़े कठिनाई, अरे जा 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 मुझे डर है कन्हैया से, देखना मैं बोल पड़ूंगी यशोमती माई से। अरे जा 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 मुझे डर है कन्हैया से, देखना मैं बोल पड़ूंगी यशोमती माई से। Thank you all very much for listening, and I must commend the speakers who came before me for the job that they did. They did a very good job, and I am sure that you all have had a treat today. Thank you.
Krishna Pago. And the Pago name rings a bell when you look at. That was brotherly love there. Thank you, Krishna, and thank you for the drummer and younger brother playing the mandolin. So here we are, having listened to the great works of Sri Dadaji. It is my fervent hope that out of all this talk that we had, all these reflections that we had, and the life and meaning of Dadaji, that something can be done. A committee that could be formed to take his work further, as I mentioned earlier on, a committee that would encompass all the areas of this great man that visited this land of ours. I was fortunate through the auspices of Heritage Radio to call Dadaji on his 100th birthday in India. He could not see, but he was very lucid. And it was his fervent hope that the work that he did in Trinidad will not go by the wayside. It was his hope that it will continue. If we cannot give lectures as Dadaji would, let us invite through the committee to have lectures in Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore his work will continue. A man who was not only an author, a one who would mold the minds and hearts of men and women to lead lives in Trinidad and Tobago, not only as a teacher and a lecturer, but also a producer of plays, a choreographer, an artist, a dramatist. It is incumbent upon us to hope that this will not just go by the wayside. So there is a donation box down at the end. If you do feel like giving a little donation, the committee would really appreciate it, simply because they will defray some of the expenses, and it will go towards perhaps another program like this, so that we can highlight and showcase the life and times of Professor B.M. Bhattacharya. A copy of the feature address can be available to anyone who would like a copy. Our dear brother, Theron Budan, has assured us that he will make a copy available to you. All you have to do, leave at the desk your email number, and you will receive that. I would like to leave the mic open to anyone. If you would like to keep it very short, definitely the mic is open. Let us welcome Panditji as he makes his way.
Sitaram to everybody. For those who don't know, my name is Vikramaditya Maharaj. I was one of the first students enrolled in the school. My number was 003. When you listen to people talk, some people have their own facts, but it have something called real facts. And the real facts is that the Ashram College, the signature to build the Ashram College, was not Moon Prasad. was a man called Rupnarayan Baini Maharaj. Baba and I had a unique relationship. I remember he had a slang he used to use. He'll call you by your name. Mr. Bikram, I will give you a slap. So when they called me in the office, and he said, I will give you a slap. And I said, if I was you, I would not do that. You say, why? I say, I have a bad habit. I will slap back. See the kind of respect people have? That is Trinidadian. Can't vex with them. But we had a unique relationship. We were very close. One day I went to his home. You know, he had a dog named Bhaga, a black Doberman. So I was opening the gate and he said, don't open the gate. I said, why? He said, Bhaga will eat you. So I opened the gate and I walk in. I say, something I want to tell you. I say, what's that? I say, you never send a dog to hunt a real tiger. We were very close. Most people don't know. I had 20 years, 7 days a week, Sanskrit lessons with him privately for 20 years. Nobody knew that. That was nobody's business. And he told me, he said, when you die, what do you want to do? What do you want to leave in this world? I said, I'm going to leave a legacy. And that man told me, take the Bhagavad Gita. Oh, by the way, I'm one of the few men who know every verse by heart. All 788 verses. The real Bhagavad Gita has 744 verses, not 700. I found the 44 verses. I've written it out now and published it. He says, do the Bhagavad Gita in a different language, which I did. I'm sorry he's not around to see it. And he said, promise me one thing. All this education that you have in Sanskrit, what you're going to do with it? I said, I don't know. He said, promise me you will do a yag in pure Sanskrit on the Ramayana. That I promised him. Unfortunately, he died before it was done. But it was done. So we had a unique, very, very unique relationship. He was a regular visitor to our home, right up the road here. And he and my father would sit down and they had discussions on a lot of things. There are a lot of things he did that I didn't agree with. We're human. I remember when his daughter died, he invited only 2 people, myself and Parashram. I don't know if you could remember that. When Jarunanan died in Shagonas, only 2 people were invited. Baba was doing it, Parashram and I. I sure Parashram can't remember the car number he had. What was the car number? The Escort. PL 9875. We were seated right here painting on the floor. Parashram asked for permission to go license office because he had driving test or something. And when he was walking through here, Baba looked up and saw him from the road. He said he just passed the driving test. Say, how you know that? Say, watch Parashram walk. When he walk in busy, he very successful. I want to leave you with 2 things. Over the years, Baba saw anger in me twice, only twice. And one day we discussed it. He said, what was your first reason for being angry? I said, when you had to build that iron gate there, separating the mandir from the school, I was willing to break down that on my own. Most people don't know. Parashram and I painted this whole school. I and Anirudh Singh, who lives in Florida now. Sahai. One of the greatest souls passed through this place was a fellow named Sahai Rampasad from Tulsa Trace Pinal. Parashram and I walked from Pinal to Tulsa Trace to his mother's funeral. Nobody else went. And the second time I was very angry with him, and strange enough, people spoke about the Sri Sevak Sabha. The Sri Sevak Sabha said, build that gate because they don't want the school children in the mandir because the school children does eat meat. But every member of the Sri Sevak Sabha eating pork, beef, everything, and come in Sunday morning in the mandir. And I was angry at that. And the next time I was angry, Professor B.M. Bhattacharya, Professor H.S. Adesh, Errol Mahabir, Kamaladil Mohammed, Afraz Baksh, and myself were seated upstairs. And there was a discussion about transforming this school into a government-assisted school. Errol Mahabir agreed. Kamaladil Mohammed agreed. And who stopped it? This was going to be a school still functioning with government assistance. It was going to be transformed into the first Hindu primary school in San Fernando. I have the documents on it, I can show you it. And then when these great souls talk about Professor H.S. Adesh, when the government of India recalled him, he said he doesn't want to go back. And they told him, if you could get a job in Trinidad, you would stay. And so Baba gave him the principalship of this school. And I objected to that. Totally objected. And nobody knew why. They always see me as some kind of enemy or some kind of rebel. I live up to my reputation. Trust me. And one day he asked me why. I say, Adesh is a crook. He's from Kashmir. Forget all the knowledge he has. He has no interest in Ashram College. His interest is to stay in Trinidad. And once he gets the papers fixed, he will shut down the school. 1 year later, so said, so done. I was still right. I was at his home one night. He had a unique way of talking on the phone. When he called you, he would say, I am Bhattacharya speaking. That was his conversation. So he said, come to my home, and I went. And the strangest thing happened. Well, we call she Guru Ma. She asked him, what is so fascinating about me that he likes so much? What is going to be his future? And you know what he said, Paras? Vikram will be a person, thode se pyar lagata hai, who will be liked by a few. Bahut log nafrat karte hai, who will be hated by many. Or sab log bhai lagata hai, and will be feared by all. Thank God I lived up to that reputation. I lived up to it. But we were close. We had our differences like everybody else. I never worshipped him as God. I respected him for his knowledge. He had that. I could tell anybody that. I have not met a human being with a brain like his own. The first time a teacher ever hit me was in this school. And you know for what? Because I couldn't tell the time. I had a watch in my hand and I couldn't tell the time. And the fella slapped me. I'll tell you who it is after. And many, many years later, I met him in New York. He had a collar around his neck. He was walking like a vegetable. And I recognized him. So I called him out and he answered. He said, do I know you? I said, I'm the person you slapped one day in 1968 on the 14th of April because I couldn't tell the time. I'm talking about 1999 now. He said, I can't remember that incident. I said, well, my name is Vikram Aditya Maharaj. You remember me now? He said, yes. And I slapped him back in. I waited until 1999. I'm a creature like that. I don't let nobody walk over me and then Surhawe. I Surhawe nobody. And Baba loved me for that. When he was leaving Trinidad, he came to my home. I have the recording. And he said, today I'm going to tell you something. He said, you have spent over 25 years with me. And not one day, not 1 minute, you ever drank a glass of water in my house. Nor did you ever eat. Why? And I told him why. That is not for you all to know. That is for... And he said, I respect you for that. And don't worry, Paras, your car number was PN 9875. You and I painted a red car with paintbrush. We painted white. An Escort that only had 3 gears. Because when you put it in 4th gear, whoever sit down next to you better hold on the 4th gear. Otherwise you're in trouble. No, half a minute again. You spoke about Baba and his plays. one of the key actors in Savitri was who? Winston Ramdas. Today, Winston Ramdas is dead. Most of the students who were in class with me have died. Sarita Khan, dead. Devanand Beni, dead. Most of them gone. As somebody told me, Lucille Baburam passed away. So the little bit we have remaining, my advice to fellows like Teron and Krishna and all who want to be heroes today, sit down and document the real facts, not make believe. If you don't know the truth, you ain't going nowhere. And when he was leaving Trinidad, he told me one thing that I will never forget. It was a Marathi statement. Kutumbahacha jivancha sarvotam ashirvad. That's not Hindi, that's Marathi. And it simply means family is everything. Once you know that, you have no problem. All those who associate with Baba is family. Get everybody's experience. When Madhu came to my home and Krishna came, I tell him, I said, I have all that in my head, boy. Krishna couldn't believe that I was singing the Diwali songs that Baba used to sing. I was never in the choir. I said, I for little whistle, I for little boys, not big men. I never liked singing. But all I knew it in my head. Krishna was shocked. I know all these songs of Savitri, I know them by heart. Veteran, Kingdom of Cards. When I was the commander in the army, you remember a statement in that play? You move, men of medal. You are man of medal. You are weighed down by medals. You remember that line? What was my response? Men of medals don't have to move. The fire moves, not the cannon. The pen moves, not the ink. That was 1973, boy. That's 40 years ago. So we have had fantastic experiences. To all those who are students of Baba, I saw some of my classmates here. I can't remember the name. Let us really do something and document it properly for all of us to benefit. Sitaram, and thank you very much.
Let us hear it once again for Pandit Vikram. And now I'd like to invite Suresh Adhim with a vote of thanks.
So you have heard it, everybody. Namaste, Sitaram, good afternoon. I offer warm welcome to all the guests and organizers on this beautiful, glorious day. I am really gratified to you for giving me a chance to deliver a vote of thanks speech to such an honorable audience. It is really a great time with you. Please take note of this good quote of gratitude. It says, and quote, "Gratitude is the sign of noble souls." Let me repeat, gratitude is the sign of noble souls. Close quotation. And no event comes together without the support of a vast network of souls. So, friends, followers, devotees of Sri B. Bhattacharya, popularly known as Baba, I am Suresh Adheen, recognizing you souls all in every aspect to make this occasion happen. First, I am the secretary of Shiv Jyoti Sangham, a body blessed and inaugurated by Baba. With their permission, I am detailed to fill two roles. One, to take charge of the arrangements for accommodation, seating, etc., and two, to do this vote of thanks. Now, we would not be here without the generosity of the management of the temple, led by Sri Maldev Maharaj, popularly known as Mukesh, and members of the Sri Sevak Sabha of the temple and this annex, led by Srimati Anne-Marie Tiwari. I'd like to thank these bodies.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you guys please be silent? This is very disrespectful. And I'm really ashamed that it's coming from students of Ashram College. The gentleman is trying to give a vote of thanks and everyone is just talking with no respect for the gentleman. Thank you.
So as I was saying, I'd like to thank these bodies for affording us the use of the facilities. Let me again, on behalf of Shiv Jyoti Sangham and the past students of all of Baba's colleges and the supporters, thank our chairman, Bhai Krish Singh, for his yeoman services today. He is a long-time follower and a friend of us from even in his days at radio. It is to be noted that the organizers, the reunion committee, got their act together in a very short space of time. They did not get much help from others to put forth their ideas to make it happen. I must thank them deeply for their efforts. Sri Jagdev Phagu assisted us immensely. He has provided us the PA systems and music. Much thanks to him too. I want to thank Sri Loknath Dubey, our guest speaker today. He has done much research on facts and insights of Baba's contribution in Trinidad. He has done a full job as our guest speaker. Hats off to him. Sri Mohip has done a great job in decorating our function. Look around here, and you feel you need a person like him every time to beautify our yagshalas and functions. Bhaiya, thank you. You must have heard of a name, T.M. Ramnath and Company Limited. This gentleman will always be remembered. He has provided funding for the printing of the prayer book. Bhaiya, thank you too. The whole corner on this side, you see many electronic devices. These have been used to link the outside world too, of the activities that we witnessed here today. And that is to stream the entire function to those who could not possibly be here and others too. For this service, I thank the CEO, Mr. Shishti Ramdas and SSR Productions. Well done. For every event we want to execute completely, we always find at the end there's something or someone missed out. If it is so here today, I want to let them know they are all remembered and recognized. To those who assisted, you too are remembered and recognized. My heartfelt greetings to you all. And I, again on behalf of Shiv Jyoti Sangham, like to thank all of you for taking time away from your curriculum to be here to allow this function to happen. This assembly would be impossible without your support. It is to be noted also that this hall became usable and ready with the support and guidance of our dear brother Anil Samaru and his Dharam Patni Asha. Many, many thanks to all. Kindly note According to Bhai Madhu, know the other side of Baba. Read his books for more. Some of the books are available here. May you enjoy the rest of the evening and have a very safe return to your homes. Thanks to the hosts for having given me the opportunity to represent them. Jai Hind.
Thank you to Suresh and him on your behalf. And as we finally conclude our program this evening, let us invite our dear brother, Pandit Marasram Maharaj, to offer a closing prayer. So I would kindly like to invite everyone to stand as we have this final offering on this occasion.
As we join in prayer, we thank Bhagavan for the opportunity to be able to assemble like a family with love and devotion and to listen to all the teachings and the messages that came on behalf of our departed teacher, guru, professor, admirer, inspirator, in whatever way you know him. We thank Bhagavan that be pleased with our prayer as we join together. Om Kale Varshatu Padhyanya Prithvi Shasya Shalini Deshoyam Shobharahito Brahmana Santu Vedaga Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti. God bless all. Thank you.
On your behalf, I say Dhanyavada to Panditji, and refreshments have been prepared, so please partake, and I hope to see you guys sometime